Welcome to everyone. I'm happy to see the room filling up again, and it's my pleasure to be, actually it's my first time at the EMS, and I have to say that looking around and being part of a different discussion, there's a real great value to see what is everyone's angle to see digitalization and how this is interpreted in the different flavors, no matter as manufacturing a person or as a person coming from a vendor industry or even a deployer. So it's a really big value, I think, every time to be confronted in this kind of audience to also reframe their own opinion and the way forward that we have currently at Siemens PLM software to see how we can contribute in this digitalization trip. In general, I will share you what we do currently in order to make a contribution, but I would like to start with the point we, I think, all agreed on, that's the changing of the digitalization is bringing to all of us. It is something that probably should be reviewed. It's not really changes everything, has changed already a lot. If you think about the way you are now connected, the way you are get information, the way you are buying stuff in your life, you are managing also your private daily life. This has changed a lot, and it's going to change a lot also the way of manufacturing, and has changed also the business model. If you think about what was mentioned in one of the previous sessions, Rolls-Royce selling the engine not anymore at a fixed price, but really on consumptions. This is one of the examples because they can capture the data, can really measure what is the utilization of the engines. But digitalization is putting a lot of pressure on manufacturers really to become agile and disruptive enough to stay ahead with the competition. And this is where I brought two sentences, and they are more or less, one is an opportunity from Mike Dell, stating that with big data, we're going to make money, real money in the future, while the essential point of view is more a risk based on the fact that 50% of the Fortune 500 company were disappearing in the last almost 15 years. Digitalization has left room for a lot of speculations on how this is really matching and what is inside, but also a lot of opportunity that are coming from governments' initiatives. Worth to mention in Asia, the Make It in India, the Made 2025 in China, the smart manufacturing in the US. But I think one of the most prominent is here from the German government, the Industry 4.0, which is the way how to see really the evolution from the steam and mechanical production, mass production, the third revolution with the automation and electrifications, and the fourth is currently in employment. I would say we are not there, but we are really getting or are learning how to implement this. And of course, the level of complexity is going higher and higher, and that is where Siemens is currently trying with a lot of acquisitions in the software space to provide an holistic approach and help manufacturing different industry on really making the step ahead. So, and let me show what is basically behind our strategy. So we identify three main areas that are important to map our offering. This is the ideation, the realization, the utilization. And there we're mapping 5 steps. There we think as across the entire PLM or product life cycle management. This is the product design, the production planning, the production engineering, the real operational part, so the production execution and the services. And if you think the light gray is more the ideation part, where the blue is becoming the realization, and the dark blue is more the utilization. And if you see this picture, we have put two important pieces on top of this. One is a collaboration platform. As we all know that digitalization is basically a means to coordinate and to enable collaboration across boundaries of a company. So there is, for us, no matter where a discipline is in the product design or in the manufacturing area, it is important that we have a mean to help the data and all the evidence we're getting from every discipline to be captured and then distributed to a certain discipline in the right shape, in the right form, in the right tool. So this is for us Team Center, so probably heard about this, which is also allowing the plugin in the supply chain area. And on top of this, of course, is the big topic of the cloud, where we are, of course, fine-tuning our understanding also of the digitalization, bringing apps according to the way industry digests also the cloud, and industry are able to really disclose data to a third part technology. And this is where you see that every step has a closed loop, and that's what I'm going to talking about more. So we call the way we have data coming from the first step to the 5, the digital thread. For us, it's very important that we don't talk anymore about only system, but the master is a data, and the data is going to really be the enabler for all those steps. The other thing we're talking about is building out of this data what has been mentioned before, the digital twin. A way of having the product in the digital shadow, digital twin, what we can use to simulate, to emulate, as some of previous people were mentioning, really things before they are making real. And this is the way we think we're contributing on a more efficient NPI, new product introduction, really cutting the way to come to bring a product to the market, a way to manage changes during the planning and the manufacturing area. So digital twin is for us very important, and we're consequently building our strategy upon. Now, today I would like to focus on one of the 3 main elements of our portfolio, which is the manufacturing operation management part. So this one, and this is highly representing the realization piece. So when we're talking about really the manufacturing plants. And here's where we see an holistic view also, and this is what we call it really the orchestration of all the discipline within the manufacturing. So when you start really with the download of any customer order that you get and break it down according to your capability and resource availability to a production order, and schedule this and dispatch this to the execution, which allow you to really bring the instruction to the workers in the right time, the right act, in the right form, and capturing everything what the order is experiencing, no matter is a consumption of material or an evidence of non-compliance or non-conformancy, quality data if we come to the execution. So really to provide the steps that a worker needs to carry out in order to measure the quality of a product, but also the product, the process itself, if you're talking about statistical process control. So to see in which tolerances, which deviation the system is giving and the process is giving in order to understand how this deviation might impact the final results of the final good. The reporting piece, of course, and the genealogy in order to know exactly how a product has been built. So it's very important to have the as-built product with all the genealogy and be comparable to as planned. So what was really in the original order, so that we can have evidence of non-conformancy, non-compliance to what the customer is expecting to get, as an example. But we can go through a lot of more topics if we talk about compliances and regulations in some of the industry, like pharma, medical device, the FDA regulations. So we are all this in this area and built in a holistic way, so that you don't need to have paper. You can rely on digital data on guiding you and having you the right tools. And on top of this is manufacturing intelligence, which is the way of seeing how everything is coming together and how you're performing, the way of comparing also not a single area of your manufacturing, but also different manufacturing sites, the way you can really use to take, to have a leaner decision-making process also. Now, what we are doing is the side, I would say, the challenging side of acquiring companies, as Siemens is doing. One of the examples is the Mentor Graphics, the 8,000 employee that we're getting on top with a huge portfolio in the electronic industry is, of course, to make to unlock synergies between the products and also to build a sustainable roadmap and a product that can help really realizing the digital enterprise. So we are heavily challenged, of course, in finding the right combinations for the manufacturing. Here are some of the brands that we're currently having. Not everyone, but there are some of the main brands. And of course, we are not looking only on unlocking synergy by integrating the pieces of our portfolio. We are really looking at a bigger family, which is the PLM offering, where we are heavily looking at how we can close the loop and let manufacturing area become a source of improvement for engineering part. So, and here's some example I'm going to show you in a while. And of course, we are offering this for, I mean, the main industry we serve in a way that normally on premises, but also we are starting also having more and more offering for the cloud, depending on the industry and depending on, of course, functionalities in there. And that is where MindSphere is coming in Siemens, of course, in the game. So let me start with some of use cases. I brought some video just to explain it better, how it is work. And I will start with the first one. This is the way you are starting basically in getting your manufacturing efficiency done. So it's what is called the advanced planning and scheduling tool. It's very important that you at the beginning, you match your demand with the capability of your plant and the variancy you need to build. So this tool is basically helping simulating, also in the simulation environment, seeing what your manufacturing is able to digest, if you want to say. And you can also use this tool to make emulate different things. I guess in this video we are adding an additional order. We are checking whether the right resources and the right employees with the right skills are in the right schedule for the right orders. And of course, you can do it really in advance. You're coming to a certain time windows, 24 hours, 48 hours, where you are now in the really in the moment where you need to release a certain number of orders that you have in the pipe. And this tool is helping with the intelligent algorithm to really get you the best sequence for your production. Now, once orders are dispatched through this tool and are coming to execution, now I'm pointing at a second video, which is how we make use of the engineering data. Once we have really planned the product and the production, you have a very, very valuable amount of data, like the bill of material and the bill of process. So you have all the data like part programs, you have data like electronic work instruction, you have data like materials. So, and you can use this data, if you can really link it together with the operation system, to automatically populate the manufacturing operation management system on the first step, because you're getting this data already there. So you can configure dynamically an operator panel, if you're talking about a worker, as well as a supervisor on his iPad or your smartphone. And this is the way you make use of the data already available, and not write redundancy or have a second source of data. So in this video, we are showing basically also how we can, in this case, make evidence. So a worker that has an evidence of a non-conformity of a problem can take any kind of snapshot using the real file available from the simulation to give evidence to a supervisor about a problem he's currently facing. And this problem is then reported to a supervisor who decides whether this problem should be forwarded back to the engineering part. And it is in this tool, which is Teamcenter Issue Tracker, where you can then browse it down, go directly to the issue, look at the contextualized information in the manufacturing operation management tool, and then understand whether it is time to take an action and improve the process. So again, this is only a snapshot, but I would like to show And this is an example about aerospace and defense application. Now I'm going to show you a similar example for a medical device, which is based on another product, but same concept. So this is the Camstar. We are browsing and using exactly the JT models to have on the line, on the machine area, the possibility to look at the product, to call for some documentation. Even in the next release, you will have videos showing from the simulation already done, showing how to behave when it comes to mounting pieces together. So here's the housing with the PCB, and also here you can make a snapshot of what is a possible deviation and can send it back. Same process as displayed before, send it back to the supervisor, and the supervisor decides whether to send it then to Team Center, issue tracker, and get suggestion for an improvement. Of course, another feeling of interface if you're changing industries. As another example, this is out of our last acquisition. Mentor Graphic has a business called Valor. Valor is probably pretty well known, is a leading provider in the PCB and box build electronics. So what we are doing is to combine quickly the capabilities of displaying data of the PCB with the interface of the operator, and giving the operator the possibility to have a visual inspection to highlight any kind of deviation, to show what is the defect on the PCB board, and to enter then the measures it took to replace or repair this in order to collect those data and make it available, of course, also to the engineering. So this is where we're currently working on getting more and more the portfolio integrated with again, the Mentor Graphic acquisition, but we are getting evidence that we are potentially providing a first value add in this area too. Another example is about combining the MES capability, so execution with quality. So we are using a lot of the HTML5 way of displaying, and also combine information. So there is not the need necessarily to take two different data storages and put it together when we talk about integration, but it is the first intelligent step is to combine and compose those data on the interface. So you don't need really necessarily to make a big bang. And here's a simple example of a statistical process control from the IBS QMS, which is injected, we call it, as a plug into the manufacturing execution system interface. And that's all in, because you can, based on this, display what you need to look at the deviation according to the thresholds you're putting in. So this is, again, a simple example, I guess, about how to bring this together. The last example I'm showing to you is more the classical, I think, the classical way we are bringing up first pieces of the manufacturing operation management portfolio capability on cloud. This is currently a manufacturing intelligence, which is, I think, a lot of providers in the market. We are, of course, we have acknowledged and we have brought to the market also this manufacturing intelligence. There is one specific thing. We are able to connect this not only with the manufacturing operation management, but to get a consolidation of data when it starts with the automation. So with our big install base and all the precious data we have, and get consolidated up to an MOM level, and from the MOM level get then consolidated on a more enterprise view and a global view on those dashboards. And I think this is where we see definitely already a willingness and an openness to have this on the cloud. There is much more to come in the cloud, which is not only related to intelligence, it will be related to quality, as we are closing the loop between planning of quality, so the for certain industry, the FMAE or the IPQP capabilities that we can really have this also dispatched from the cloud, as well as formulation for the process industries when we talk about recipes and the way we need to dispatch those recipes depending on seasons and depending on the markets. So this is where we see currently a benefit in the industries and implementing the cloud-based technology or apps. So having seen this, I'm making now a step back and I'm referring to the MESA, what Siemens is part of. You will probably see that there was a session related to MESA. We are contributing because we need to have a general understanding, not as Siemens specific, but also confront ourselves. And the MESA is a great opportunity to be with other vendors, with manufacturers, as well as with system integrators. And here's where we have engaged together in different streams. One is how to give awareness about smart manufacturing. What is smart manufacturing and what are the aspects that, for example, executive or decision maker needs to know about smart manufacturing. So it's not only about an holistic view of integrating intelligence and making this intelligence from the different resources also available on a holistic approach. It is very important that we look at the change management. If you are implementing digitalization, and we do at Siemens in our factories of the energy and automation plants, there is a lot of effort to be spent in sharing the strategy to employees, getting employees involved in an early stage, making them aware about the opportunity and mitigate any risk they think they would be facing with. So this is one of the things that we are all agreeing on suggesting for when thinking on implementing digitalization. Another important topic is smart manufacturing or digitalization is a vision, and therefore it will, as one of the speakers was saying, you cannot ask me what will be in 20 years. You can ask me what will be in 5 years. In 20 years, probably none of us has really clue what's going to happen with the speed of technology evolution. So that's why focus on investment that you're doing now already, because it's important that you have in mind a roadmap and a way to go to your target. And every investment you are deciding to do right now is important and can contribute to go closer to the target. Important is the security, and no matter, so we take care of security when we are developing our tools, but is this security of infrastructure, if a security, because you are getting from every angle the possibility to get your infrastructure vulnerable to external accesses. So very important, and one of the key things that we are all thinking it's important to highlight is leverage the talent people, no matter whether experience, so older one or a younger one. There are different levers you should consider. The know-how of the older people in the processes, the experienced people in the processes and the way it's manufactured, but also the excitement of the young people on using new technology in the manufacturing space. You can look at the 4Bs. There are a series of articles we are writing together, and there you can find a more detailed explanation. Again, this is a MESA engagement. Having said this, I'd like to recap why we think that digitalization and the way we are trying to contribute will bring the most benefit is a way to really speed your time to market. There is I think, nothing to objectivize when you think that having a cross-process data link, it's going to help you really bring in the right product to the right time to the market. This is very important if you look at consumer electronics, for example, is one of the major pillars, of course. If you look at more the accuracy, so that in an aerospace and defense industry, for example, or the energy industry, so you have really a lot of change requests. How you effective manage those changes, they are coming from pilot testing, they are coming from execution. So this is the way we leverage on the close loop and the way we really can implement those changes effectively in the introduction of a product, as well as, of course, every regulation that's related to quality and efficiency is also and I'm not talking about something new, but it is really the way of making the right product, having the right time, the high quality, and lowering the cost as much as possible. In the middle of all this, always the security. We see also in the owner experience that this is one of the most, or the biggest challenge when you have the digitalization roadmap and you want to really invest in. So look at the security of your infrastructure. That's going to be key in order to not have an unsuccessful in there. So we think with this to have provided you the way Siemens is thinking to contribute, but I'm really keen to see whether there are questions we can discuss if we have some minutes. Patrick? Thank you very much.
Do we have any questions? Yep, question here. Could you just wait for the microphone, please, so people can hear the question?
You talked through a suite of applications there, coming from a variety of histories, I suspect, because you acquired them. How does that actually become an integrated solution? You know, we're probably all sitting with disparate technical solutions, and is it possible to bolt others into this environment?
Well, if I correctly understand the question, you're thinking how we can make sure that we are consolidating all the integration, no matter whether a third-party solution. Here's a good question, because our manufacturing operation management approach is based on what we call the manufacturing backbone. It's a kind of bus system which allows you either to, first of all, if you look at the majority of the industry, there is a bit monolithic system with a lot of investment and assets being done in the past. So one of the key drivers in our decision was how we can make sure that manufacturers can save investment they did in the past, as well they have the value, the return of investment on the new investment, the new decisions. And this is where we have a bus system that is actually helping composing your third-party applications. We are not just looking at implementing our products, we are looking at combining our products with an intelligent unified data model that helps and extended and helps to plug in third-party application. It is, of course, not a general approach. We need every time to look at the circumstances, but we are open to this connection in order to make sure your past investment are safe for the future too. Does it make sense?
Okay, thank you, Raffaello.
You're welcome.
I'm afraid that's us out of time. Can you show your appreciation to Raffaello?